What's good, Hustle Huddle? Welcome back to another episode. This week, we're going to be breaking down a little bit about the NBA playoffs, what's going on in our lives, maybe the ruts that we're getting stuck in, how to get out of them. And at the end, we're going to be breaking down our 5-minute fitness tip. Make sure you stretch, get that lactic acid out. See y'all around.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Hustle Huddle. Y'all know what it is. What you laughing about? I'm bringing the energy today. You feel me?
Let's go.
You're here with myself, Sean Fredericks, and
Christian Roddy.
Hey, so let's start off with your week.
Nah. It was my week last week. This week is you.
This week, okay. What did I do? So I went golfing on Saturday. Yeah, I went golfing. I did a little quick 9 rounds. I was actually supposed to go with my co-host over here, but he didn't wake up, and I actually golfed by myself, and which is crazy because it was a nice, peaceful, blissful moment, and I was like, you know what, I should probably start doing this more often. I actually loved golfing by myself, so I actually appreciate you not showing up, my boy.
Oh my god.
So I did some golfing.
Anytime I've told somebody I golf by myself, within the first year, I wanted to get better before I started golfing with all my buddies. And I golf by myself quite a lot. And every time I told somebody that, they're like, you're a weirdo.
But immediately when I think of someone golfing by themselves, I'm like, that fool is a serial killer. Because I'm like, that man either has no friends or just does not have regard for his life.
But
then I'm like,
it's relaxing.
I'm like, I love this. I'm bumping my own music. I ain't got to worry about nothing. I'm hitting the ball. I ain't got the stress of my boy yapping, throwing clubs at my head. I ain't got to worry about all that. You feel me?
Now this.
So, yeah, it was good. And then, I got some new exhaust tips for my car. So, that's super exciting.
Nice.
My diffuser fell off on my car. I don't know fucking how, but yeah. So
before or after you did the exhaust tips?
Well, I just got the exhaust tips, so they're not even on yet. So I actually ordered the new diffuser and the exhaust tips at the same time because I was like, my diffuser's off, so might as well fucking take this chance to put some exhaust tips on there. But yeah, I don't know. So I was driving. Well, I wasn't even driving. I just noticed that my rear sensor was hanging out, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, why is this hanging out? I was like, I could just put it back. Then I noticed my whole diffuser was cracked, from one exhaust to the other exhaust. And I'm like, bro, what the and I don't know how it, I can't think of any way it got cracked. So I'm a little confused on how it happened. And I'm now just being more cautious of backing in. But because I have a backup camera, it's not like I'm backing into random shit. I would know that it would have hit my bumper. I mean, it would hit my back end, but so I had to pull that off. So I had to order another one, so I was a little upset about that. Other than that, just work. What about you? Oh, I watched the playoffs too, so we're going to get into that, though.
Yes, sir. This last week, pretty mellow. Like I said, I think a lot of my younger employees have kind of been in and out of the gym lately. Outside of work, kind of just been kind of clocking in, clocking out, working some long days. I did get a chance to go watch Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
I watched that too.
I ain't going to lie. And I'm a huge Marvel fan. I was not a fan of that movie.
That movie was so all over the place. I felt like it was literally just everywhere. And I know he can attest to this. He's a giant Marvel fan, so
the biggest.
So I know for a fact that he was upset because if I was upset, I know he was upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, what? Go ahead.
I don't know. It's you want to tell Marvel stop hyping up your movies to this crazy level that they have been, but from a business perspective, of course you're gonna do that.
Yeah,
they're gonna do it for every movie, every single time.
What's crazy is I saw this meme of her, the actress, the Scarlet Witch actress. I don't know her name, but she was on Saturday Night Live, or she was on one of them, but she's like, yeah, I don't go to the premieres anymore because I automatically assume it's a flop. And he's like, you didn't go to Endgame because you assumed Endgame was a flop? And then she's like, yeah, I just automatically assume this is going to be a flop, so I don't go there anymore. And good thing she ain't go to this one because this one low-key was a little bit of a flop. I ain't going to lie to you.
Well, financially, it's done good. Financially, but that's a lot to do with the hype and
put out
brand.
They could put out a random superhero tomorrow, and then fucking Marvel would do great because it's Marvel. Exactly. You could put out a movie about some unknown superhero, and his power is duct tape, and the motherfuckers be at that goddamn movie.
Duct tape man.
I'm telling you. So yeah, I don't know. It was. I did like the how they were going to like the horror type of vibe, like for a little bit, like when she like kind of hurt her foot and like she was dragging it down the hallway with the with the whole what is it, Saw vibes or no? What's that movie where she crawled out of TV? Ring? Is that the movie?
What is that movie?
It's
The Ring.
Yeah, the Ring, right? Yeah, whole Grudge and Ring vibes. I was getting that. It was cool.
Facts. But a lot of hype around it. I was just let down. But speaking of superheroes, speaking of hype, let's talk about what Luka did.
Speaking of letdowns,
to the Phoenix Suns.
Let's talk about letdowns too. That was crazy. And what's crazy is because he's a Phoenix Suns fan. And I know I was sending him stuff all day, and he was not responding. So I was a little worried because I'm like, yo. Usually he responds quick. I was actually kind of worried about maybe he got hurt or something because I'm like, yo, where you been at?
My feelings got hurt.
Yeah, I know they did.
No. Phoenix Suns, I just think it's a pretty good organization. They're really sound throughout the season. Would they have 65 wins?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
And they're known for being healthy, having good seasons. They're good players. They make good plays in big moments throughout the season.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's just in the postseason.
They're not playoffs.
Historically, they're
not playoff team.
You could say Devin Booker, maybe he's a little young, so he's
not that guy.
Doesn't show up in those moments. But Chris Paul,
Chris Paul need to retire.
When it comes to point guards,
Chris Paul need to retire. My boy put up he put up 1 point in 3 quarters.
That's crazy.
And then at the end, in the last quarter, you decided to score additional 9 points. You had 10 points for the whole Game 7 playoff.
I saw Shannon Sharp talking about that. He's like, now you decide to shoot.
Bro,
they up 30.
It don't matter now. What, you put up 9? Congrats, my boy. Bro, Luka Doncic had the same amount of points as the Suns in the halftime, going into the halftime. Luka Doncic, a single player, had the same amount of points as the whole team.
Was it 27?
Yeah, it was 27. That's ridiculous. And you tell me that you are supposed to be in the running for Western Conference Finals? Get away from me.
Yeah, Western Conference Finals. Devin Booker was fourth for the MVP run-up.
Stop it.
And they had some.
Stop it.
I think when they broke down the series averages, Luka had more rebounds than their best rebounder. He had more assists than Chris Paul. He went point for point for Devin Booker, who again was the fourth runner-up for MVP this season.
Bro, Luka is that guy.
Luka showed up.
He's that guy. I was trying to tell people Luka is that guy. I'm saying he's a problem. My boy is really a problem out here. And it's so funny because a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people sleep on Luka, but a lot of people sleep on the Mavs.
That's what it is. Because if you look at it,
they still have some good players on the Mavs.
Yeah. Last season in the playoffs, he was a little injured, right? He was off and on. I think he actually sat a game, but something was wrong with his ribs. And so it comes down to that thing where it's especially a young player like him, where how much can you do on your own? And yes, the Mavs do have good role players, but in the generation we're in, where every team has 3 superstars,
exactly.
Even the Phoenix Suns, Chris Paul and Devin Booker, those names are
big names.
Those are big names.
Chris Paul is a big name. So what's crazy is because, if Porzingis was in, if he wasn't injured, they for sure probably would have got swept. And it's Devin Booker's a real good pre-playoff player, regular season player. He's a good player. I mean, but when it comes down to playoffs and you're not again, he shot 71 points in one game. That's crazy. I'm not saying that he's a bad player. He's definitely a all-star, but he's not a superstar like Devin Booker. I mean, not Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is literally a superstar, and then D-Book is a star.
Yeah,
he's that on the cusp of being a superstar, but you can't say he's a superstar because he's not really all that.
Well, and he wouldn't carry the team to that point. I don't know if you could build a franchise, a super or a championship team around him, him, right? Putting role players and things like that.
Definitely not.
He needs a supporting player just as good, if not better.
He needs leadership. I feel like Devin Booker doesn't carry that leadership role on that team, and Chris Paul is too much of a bum to carry that role.
Oh my God.
So I feel that's why that team is just, Luka can carry the leadership role. I can see Luka running the court.
He takes over.
Exactly. I can't see D-Book taking over on the court and carrying that leadership position.
I've actually been surprised in the last 2 years in very important series. His emotions throughout the series go up and down. He's angry. He's emotional. Then he's a cold killer. it's okay to be emotional. These are big moments, but I feel like when you are trying to lead a team, when you saw Kobe, you had one Kobe.
Kobe is Kobe. Everybody.
That was that mama mentality. Yeah. When it was Jordan, it was Jordan mentality. Like even LeBron in some of the bigger series.
for sure got emotional integrity. It's strong.
Yeah, and he's even corralling other people to calm them down. And it's like when D-Book is the one coming at people and everyone and there's moments like this in a lot of big games where somebody does something stupid and they're like, oh, you woke, like you poked a sleeping bear. Like they were up. Like, and he went over there and like took the ball
poked
from
the sleeping
him
bear, all right.
and like pissed him off. And it's like
came out and shot like 38 or something like that, 35. Bro, it's a problem. He definitely poked the bear on that one. And guess what? Now y'all look dumb.
Now as Shannon says, like pack up for Cabo.
Facts. And what's crazy is, do you think Chris Paul should retire? No. That's crazy. I can't even believe that is. I can't believe that came out of your mouth.
I mean, he could retire and put a stamp on a really great career.
But why would you? Is he going to get a ring in the next couple of years? So then why play?
You're telling me if you were getting a vet minimum of like $30 million a year and you're still a very high caliber point guard?
He need to go be a producer. I mean, a spokesman. That's what he need to go. He needs to solidify a spot while he can.
What I would do is, he's probably got 2 more years. This is not a championship run in like 2 years. This is put him on a team with a younger upcoming point guard or somebody that you might want to transition from a wing to a guard and like let him play with Chris Paul for like a year.
Why? He's not good.
Chris Paul's not good?
No.
He's just past his prime.
Exactly. He's not good now. There's no point in you playing with Chris Paul when he's a bum. That literally makes no sense.
I don't know.
If I'm putting Ja Morant with Chris Paul, that would literally slow Ja Morant down.
That's different. Ja Morant is, again, on the cusp of
greatness.
Superstar.
Exactly. Right? That's what I'm saying. Who are you going to put?
I'm talking like
a bum, another bum with a bum?
I'm talking about if you have another franchise like person, like you have like someone on the cusp of a superstar, but a different...
I need examples.
There's not a lot of good point guards in the league outside of the few superstars right now, right? So it's like, that's what I'm saying is take an average point guard with him and hopefully they become an all-star point guard.
Now you just got him he's just being like a wingman right now?
Kind of.
A mentor?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing? Mm-hmm. No, get him out of here. Go to TNT, go to ESPN, get him up out of here. Like, bro, you're putting up 10 points in a game 7. Like, I don't need that.
That's rough.
I don't need that around my players. That's not going to help me.
I guess I didn't pay enough attention throughout this season because after the Lakers were out, I kind of gave up on the NBA this year a little bit. But do you know his points per game average this season?
He can look that up.
The man behind the mirror. Can we get some stats?
Let's see Chris Paul's stats for the season.
I would say Russell Westbrook needs to retire before Chris Paul. I'm done with that, man.
Stop it. I mean, I'd much rather have Russell Westbrook than Chris Paul for sure. For sure.
What did he say?
Russell Westbrook will actually. Chris Paul's going to facilitate. That's literally it. And he doesn't even do a great job facilitating. And Chris Paul doesn't even have a great emotional integrity. He's literally a baby. He gets worked up. He's literally a baby. He gets overworked up and then he'll like make some dumb decision and fuck it up.
He does get.
That's why he got pieced up by Rondo when Rondo was on the Lakers. That's why he bopped him on his nose.
Hey, don't bring up playoff Rondo. That's my dude.
See, now that's an old man that's allowed to stay in the league.
Yeah. What you got, Jesse?
Yeah, I got average for the regular season. He's averaging 14.7 points a game.
Stop. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
How many assists?
4.4 rebounds.
Okay.
10.8 assists.
How many?
10.8.
That's a pretty good assist.
That's some good facilitation right there.
I mean, he barely is making 10.
3-pointers, regular season, 31.7. Is that an average? What is that?
31 3-pointers? Get him out.
That's not great. That's probably below average for point guards.
Again, I'll get a JUCO player that's playing better than that.
Stop.
Bro, give me a JUCO player coming straight out. I'll guarantee you putting up better.
He's too expensive for that kind of pay.
For sure.
You'll probably see him retire.
For sure. I'm not paying him that much for that.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, that makes no sense. Unless you're going to carry me to a championship team and, like, do some facilitating, like, some real leadership roles and tap in when I need you to tap in.
Like, you're coming off the bench.
Yeah. Like, T-Mac, Tracy McGrady, that's a man that's doing that. He's tapping in when he needs to tap in. What's his name? He used to be 6th man of the year on the Clippers.
I feel like he kind of fell off after he left.
Yeah, he did. He's still kind of hooping. Oh, damn, what is his name?
Lou.
I don't know.
Not Lou Will.
Talking about Griffin or no?
No, I forgot his name. He's Mr. 6 Man of the Year. Damn, I can't believe Jamal Crawford. Boom, there it is. Jamal Crawford, another hooper that coming in and put in work off the bench.
Yeah, and that's you need.
And he's coming off the bench as an old man
for a championship.
You got Chris Paul
team?
As your starter.
Yeah,
like get him out of there. Like, don't put that old man on the fucking floor starting.
I don't. Did he do something to you?
No,
you call him old man like 7 times. He gonna hear this and get knocked
good.
in your door.
I hope he hear this. What, he same height as me? I'll headbutt that. Bro, stop. I think Chris Paul is a little overhyped, and I don't know.
Yeah, he's probably a little overhyped. He's been around so long. He had handles, but he also came from an era. He was like in between eras where there was like dog point guards, and then there was like none for a while. Then we had a bunch of shooters. Mm-hmm. So he probably got a little bit more light.
He was
in this area.
Bro. He used to be my favorite player when he was on the Hornets. Bro, that was my favorite player. Like one of my favorite players. Like Chris Paul was definitely up there, but now he's.
I still mess with the Suns though. That arena is super nice.
Is it?
Yeah, and then D-Book obviously nice. I'm interested in his career, but I think people gave him a little bit too much sauce a little while back, calling him like the next Kobe and stuff after the 71-point game.
Yeah, no, he can't stay at the Suns if he wants a championship. The Suns aren't the organization. They'll never win a championship with D-Book. They won't.
They'll have to bring someone else in.
Like we said, he's not a leader. They will have to bring 3 people in.
No,
they don't have any big players.
That's what I'm saying. Like
they would need, like they have some big players, but they soft.
You would need
not to battle the other big.
No, yeah, you would need a really good big man and then like a decent point guard to help facilitate between the two of them. You would need
a dog. He plays too soft. D-Book plays too soft.
Yeah, it's his like emotion. Like some games he could take over.
He's a shooter. That's it.
I don't know. He got some handles.
He got some handles, but he's a shooter. Like he's mainly shooting.
Yeah.
But
the reason I'm actually a Phoenix Suns fan is their strength. Their head of strength and conditioning. That dude's dope. His name's Corey Schlesinger. He's got a dope beard.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I mean, other than
was that your week though?
Yeah, no, we were going deep dive into NBA. So I mean, other than that, we were talking about your week and how it's been a little bit repetitive. So like, what do you do to like kind of like break that repetition up so this way you're not constantly in that loop?
Yeah, and there's phases of it. So this week definitely felt kind of like wake up, work, come home, do X, Y, Z, repeat, like kind of wash, rinse, repeat. And it's weird though, because it's like the last weekend was full of stuff. This weekend is going to be full of stuff. So there's times where you need it in your life and like you need just a little bit of consistency. But then there's other times where if you let that roll on too long, you're like, what am I doing? And then to be honest, like a little bit of anxiety attacks, almost not attacks, but like moments of anxiety over the last 2 nights, like in the middle of the night, like we talked on the last episode where I was talking about my problem, like trying to go to sleep. Sometimes I feel like I don't have enough time back for me.
Yeah.
And it was over the last 2 nights. I was just like, I don't feel like I'm moving in a certain direction. I don't feel like I'm doing something that's fulfilling to me. And it's to get out of that rut. A lot of times it feels like, oh, I'm doing this stuff day to day because you're not doing things that challenge you. You're not doing things that inspire you. You're not doing things that give you a sense of like fulfillment. So you have to make sure you fill in a little bit of that. Like make sure that, again, something is related to you because you don't want to get stuck in that rut because next thing you know, 3 months, 6 months can go by and nothing has changed in your life. And then you're upset about that. But again, you're the one who did it.
Yeah. I feel like, so like for myself, I kind of get like where you're saying, like I do get in such like a repetitive like mode where it's almost like I'm on autopilot once in a while. So for me, like something I need to do is definitely like get out of that. I got to get out of my bubble. I got to get out of like where I'm at. I got to go venture out. I got to go do something like I'll go golf, like, or I'll go. Thankfully, we have the podcast, so like the podcast kind of like resets it and like refreshes it.
It brightens my week.
100%. So yeah, so like refreshes my week and like I get out of that like same continuous like flow of like wake up, go to work, wake up, go to work, wake up, go to work, and it's like so like doing stuff that like I kind of like set time aside for. Not like obviously we set time aside for like ourselves, but there's also times where like I set aside time to go out and like do other shit, like away from home, away from like the day to day, and away from like stuff I'm like used to seeing every day. So like a good example is like last like 2 weeks ago, I went to the Tacos and Tequilas Festival down in San Diego, and like realistically, like if you know me, I hate tequila. Like I I'll throw up just thinking about it. Like, I despise tequila. So, but like the whole main focus was for me to just get out of the norm. So like me doing stuff that, or even like inspirational stuff for finding like stuff about the podcast and like doing stuff for the podcast. So like stuff like that helps out. So, I mean, tell them a little bit like about how you get out of the rut and like what you do for that, I guess.
Yeah. So one big thing is like with the podcast, like this is something that I'm doing for me. This is something I'm doing for us. This is something I'm doing for all these people. But I don't feel, I get a sense of like fulfillment from it. Yeah. Anything that is correlated with this, because this is like, I guess you can call it like a passion project. Yeah. So just doing things again that are spark your mind, whether it's creativity, sparking something that's challenging you. Because it's like sometimes if you've had the same job for 8 years, there's like a 5-day run where it's like every day was kind of like, oh, that was the same. It all blends together because, you know, maybe I wasn't specifically challenged. Maybe I wasn't specifically allowed to use my creativeness. And there's going to be moments like that. Mm-hmm. But then you have to recognize that and find it in other places in your life. Or like you were saying, like get out and do something just for you that has it. It doesn't have to be a return on like investment where it's creativity and like fulfillment moving towards like a goal, because it's something we were talking about earlier. Like if you ask somebody like, what does success mean to you? Some people are like, oh, it's $1 million. Other people is like, I don't have to think about how much money I have to put gas in my tank. Yeah. Or success is I get to go to the beach 3 times a week and not answer to anybody. Yeah. So you have to think about what that kind of is for you, and then you do things that are like that.
No, yeah, I mean that's a great answer, because a lot of people that go through that I don't know, that autopilot, and they constantly keep doing the same stuff and they're constantly just doing the day by day, like it gets to the point where like it low key will get depressing. Like a lot of people, like because I know I've been there before, to the point where I wasn't like kind of feeding my like ideation bug or like my like individualization bug. Like I wasn't feeding like my sense of purpose, and I was just constantly on autopilot. Like I got low key, like got depressed, because I was like, bro, I'm not doing shit with my life, and I'm like, damn, like this is so boring. Like I'm really not doing anything. And it was like having the self-awareness to realize that was something that got me out of that. And I was like, okay, so cool. Like if we're not liking this environment and like the situation that we're in, then like what are we going to do to change it? 100%. And it's like, how quick are we going to change it? And like, we can talk about change it all we want, but are we ever going to execute, and are we ever going to leave? But go out there and execute. You feel me?
Oh, back to like episode 1.
I'm telling you, it's all about executing. And again, like we could talk the talk all we want, but like until you're ready to like go out there and make that first step and make the change, like you're still going to be just constantly living in that depression and like, damn, like, oh yeah, it's my fault, like, or it's the world's fault, like this is that. And it's like, yeah, like I get it. Sometimes there are like you're put in a certain environment like where like, yeah, it's not your fault, but like you got to know how to bounce back from that shit.
Yeah, and just doing something. Yeah. Like sometimes it's the smallest step in the right direction that can get you out of that rut, get you 100%. Out of that depression.
It's so funny because I started making this rule, like if it takes less than like a minute to do, then like I will do it. Like I'm gonna like do it, and then like I boost that to like 5 minutes. Like, oh yeah, if it takes less than 5 minutes to do, then I'm gonna do it. And then so like that kind of helped me out getting out of that rut, because it was like, okay, like for an example, like I wasn't getting paid for school for the VA, and I wasn't like I always wanted to get my disability up, stuff like that. And it's like realistically, it only took a phone call. But exactly, but
you kept putting off,
I kept putting it off, and I'm like, oh yeah, and like I'm overthinking the whole situation, like, oh yeah, this is gonna take forever, this is that, like, and then I'm living day by day, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm tired of this. I'm like, all right, well then, all right, cool, like let's make the phone call. The phone call's literally gonna take a minute. Boom. Yep. Took the phone call, took a minute. All right, let's start doing this. It takes 5 minutes. Like started like drawing and started doing stuff I like, and I'm like, all right, cool, like takes 5 minutes. Let me go do that.
Yeah, the compound and like the accumulation of all these small moments in time can lead to just something so crazy down the road. Bro, I forget who it was. It was a motivational speaker, and he was like there's nowhere filled with more $1 million ideas in the graveyard, because it's like everybody just took it all to the grave. They never did anything with it. There's thousands of inventions that were never created that somebody was thinking about, and they just never took the step forward to.
Bro, again, executing. You got to go out there and execute, my boy. Like, and what's crazy is just like we're a prime example of that. Like we've been talking about the podcast for how long?
Long time. Like I remember forever. I think I was when you first got your car, we were like driving, and I was like, Sean, if you had a podcast, because we're picking it up after it like got a part added to it or something.
Yeah.
What would you talk about? That was months ago.
That was forever ago. That was a year. I got my car a year ago.
Now we're here. So we're like 2 months in now, right? But
Yeah.
it took us 10 months to do this just because we kept talking about it. Talking about what would we talk about? What would the name be? And it's just like, and then finally we just met up and we're like, we don't have a name yet. We don't have a topic. We don't have an idea. But getting together and like just saying we're going to do it, all that stuff just happened to start coming together.
Exactly. Well, and what's crazy is like, this is such a low like risk to reward. Like there's no like, we're not getting a reward from this. I mean, we are like, we're getting our self purpose like rewards and like being able to talk and like do something different. Like that's the reward that we're getting from it, but we're not really like, there's really no risk to it. Like it's more of like high reward for us, but with less risk. Like what's the risk that we're running into? Nothing. Some backlash because some buddy doesn't like the way that I talked about Chris Paul. Like
in the
comments, like that's really the risk that we're running into. So it's like, and if you start thinking about it on like that level, it's like people are really doing that to themselves where it's like they're putting off stuff with no risk to it. Like we put off something for so long with no risk.
Even just like only upside. Like
exactly.
You were saying like
not
not calling for
the VA or
the
disability,
upping your disability,
like,
not calling for your schooling.
Yeah,
it's like people do that.
And it's like that's literally no risk to you. Like the only risk that you're like losing is I guess the time to do it. But again, like I have a great time doing this. And if it's calling the VA and calling like the school, that takes 5 minutes. Yeah. Like that's something that will change your life completely.
Yeah. That's the thing is like once that shift happens, it's like there's all these other possibilities, all these other outcomes that are now possible, like good things for you. And it's, you know, if you want to talk about like changing day to day, it's like, if you don't like your job, like,
bro,
I'm not saying you got to quit, but do some in your free time then that might get you out of it.
Yeah.
And
or not even that. Like if it's like, you're so I wouldn't say like you're so complacent in your job or you're so like on autopilot in your job, like figure out a way to grow within your job.
Yeah, take on new responsibilities, challenge yourself, do something.
It's so crazy because there's so many like people that are in our industry where they're still in the same spot, and I'm like, you're cool with just being in that same spot? Like, bro, like I know how much you make, and you ain't making enough to be cool in that same spot. So I'm like, bro, you've been in here for how long, and you're still want to just do the same thing? Like, all right, go ahead, more power to you. Then that's what's crazy to me is like. Because like if you're really if you're one of those people in that rut where you're like, oh, I'm on autopilot and I'm in the same spot, like bro, you can literally grow in this career. Like just make a difference.
They're too scared of being uncomfortable.
Oh, 100%.
Because doing new things is uncomfortable. Trying something is uncomfortable. And whether it's, you know, you want to get a new hobby, whether you want to get a new skill, whether you want to try new things at work, get in a new position or a promotion, like you can't wait for the world to happen to you. Like it's not going to just do that. And you got to go figure it out and do it yourself.
That's a problem is like a lot of people just literally like wait and they're like, oh yeah, like if it happens, it happens. Like if it happens, it'll come to me. Like, and sometimes it does, but like, bro, you can't constantly like wait on that. Like they'll get that one moment that it did come to them. And then it's like, oh, sweet, like that's how the world works now. I wish it did, but like, no, it don't work like that.
Even as like such an extreme thing as like say winning the lotto, like which I do not recommend anybody like go buy a lotto ticket, but like you still had to go buy that thing.
Facts,
you had to go there and pick it up.
Hey.
It didn't just happen. Like $1 million, whatever it is, didn't just appear to you.
I wish. There's a reason. The Lord is literally telling me there's a reason why I'm not rich because I'll mess it up somehow.
So I guess getting out of the rut, it depends on why you're in the rut, whether it's with work, whether it's with, you feel like your friend groups, whether it's your
just life in general.
Like you gotta pick something new and just try it.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like, and you can relate that to literally anything. Like if you're in the rut with gym, like, or like yourself, like, yeah, you can just go to the gym one day. Like that's the easiest way to change it. Yeah. Like now you're just at the gym. Like you completely just did something completely different that you've never done in the last like year or like the last like 6 months or last like 3 weeks. Like it's like, oh yeah, now like let's go to the gym. Like, that's an easy fix that like, oh cool. Like I'm doing something completely different. And then what's crazy is like, that's gonna just like snowball into a continuous like cycle of like you feeling like a sense of accomplishment. because now like, okay, I just got into the gym. Cool. Like I just did 10 minutes of cardio or 20 minutes of cardio, like something light. And it's like, boom, like you have that sense of accomplishment where it's like, damn, like I feel good. Like, did something. And like, that's little stuff like that. And it's going to start compounding and snowballing to the point where like, that's eventually how you get out of that rut is like little shit like that. Like eventually compounds and snowballs and it like pushes you out.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, cool.
But you got to push that initial little snowball down the hill.
That little snowball.
Like it just don't start rolling on its own.
Roll that little boy down the hill.
That's not how physics works.
And then boom, you got an avalanche, and then that's when we blow up, and then and y'all along for the ride. And then what's crazy is because people were watching, we gonna blow up. We gonna blow up, or I'm gonna blow up. He gonna blow up. Anyway, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, he said, "Keep sleeping in."
He said, "Keep sleeping, bro." I'm telling you, I'm gonna blow up, and y'all gonna ask me, and I'm telling you how I did it right now. I'm telling you, I went out there and executed, and then later down in life, you're gonna be like, "Yo, how'd you do it?" And I'm gonna be like, "Yo, I already told you how to do it, and now I ain't got the time to tell you, so you're gonna have to pay me to tell you."
And it's so funny. It's the smallest things. Like today, we literally had somebody see us setting up today, and they're like, "Yo, is that you guys' podcast?" We're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I've been thinking about doing that. Like, what is it about? What are you guys doing?" And it's super simple. Just start.
Bro, and he was like, "Yo, this setup fire. This is like, it look legit. I'm gonna follow you. This is that." And I'm like, "Hey, bro, that's easy way."
Like, if you're in a rut, and whoever I'm talking to, you know, if you like cooking, if you like working out,
literally,
and the greatest thing is we don't expect $1 from anything like this. But if you enjoy that stuff, like do something. Create a cooking page. Read some more cooking books. If you like working out, create a gym page. Yeah. And it's just like that engagement and the challenges of like running a social media platform or something like that. It's going to spark this different side of you that's, again, like that level of fulfillment. And I pose the question to you guys is like, figure out what success is to you. Like, figure out what kind of fulfillment you're looking for. Because once you get an idea of that, that's when you can start doing all this stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of it doesn't always have to be materialistic. Like fulfillment and like success doesn't always have to be materialistic. Like it could just be like, yeah, I want to be able to go outside more often. And it's like, okay, so make that change, or like figure out like what you like doing outside, or figure out like that hobby that you enjoy doing it outside. And it's like, okay, cool. Like do something that can like amplify that essentially, and like go make that change and like make it. It sounds like it's easier than it's like I'm sounding, or vice versa. What am I saying? You get what I'm saying?
So all this is very simple, but I understand it's not going to be super easy to do this, especially when it's on your routine.
Exactly. And it's like your routine is built up for a reason. Like you've been doing that for a certain reason, and you may seem like you don't have enough time for your routine, but like there's 24 hours in a day. Everyone has the same amount of time. Like, yeah. I get it. Like some people have different responsibilities. Yeah, responsibilities, different
kids, school,
stuff
work.
Like that. And it's like they might not have the same amount of time to like utilize. But again, like there's enough time for you to make for yourself.
Oh yeah, bro, you gotta take care of you first.
Yeah.
Like you are your number one priority.
Like that's the bottom line. What I was getting to is like you have enough time for yourself.
Yeah,
that's essentially,
or at least you got to make it, because that means you might have to change your priorities.
Oh yeah,
because if you are not a priority, like you got to reassess that.
That's a problem. Yeah,
but I like what you said. It doesn't have to be materialistic.
Yeah,
there was like Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it a lot on his page. It's like there's a certain amount that you make per year. I think it was $75,000 a year, and that was like the national average. If you made any more or any less than that, or if you made any more than that, you weren't any more happy.
Yeah.
Like, because whatever dollar you got back, you were like losing something else. So it's like if they made 120,000, they weren't necessarily happier than the person making 75,000 because they stayed 2 more hours at work later, or they bought that super nice car, but they ain't driving it because they're too busy doing something else.
Yeah.
That's not the case for everybody. That was like an average, but think about that. So think about what gives you happiness. Because like if I didn't have enough time to exercise, if I didn't have enough time to, it sounds so funny, but like hang out with my dog. Like if I didn't have enough time to do this podcast, if I didn't have enough time to go get Korean barbecue with my boy, like
hang out with your dog or hang out with your dog.
Hey, my dog.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, again, like if I didn't have enough time to like, again, I am a materialistic person, but I don't need to be. Like, I just like, obviously I make enough money to be a materialistic person like now because I grew up not being a materialistic person. Nah, not that, not like that. Okay. But a lot of it is also time and like what I enjoy too. Like again, like if I like didn't have a PS5 or if I didn't have a TV, like I wouldn't be really tripping. Because as long as I'm able to go out and golf and like go and chill with my boy and have Korean barbecue or go to the beach and like, or go and just like sit down and like enjoy like my time with my girl, like then I wouldn't be tripping like that I didn't have a PS5 or I didn't have a nice whip. Like it is what it is, but I appreciate that I do have that. But again, like I only just go and make that shit happen because I can.
And if that's something you want to make happen, I think what I was saying also earlier is like, sometimes it's okay to be in quote unquote a rut. Like if you're not where you want to be, maybe start that momentum shift, but then put your head down for 3 to 6 months and get it done and then see where your life's at. You don't need to go out spending all the money on things that if you don't need to. And that's again, whatever you need in your life. So, because it's like a workout program. Also, it's like, you don't need to try a million different things. Like if you find something that's working for you and it's got that momentum rolling,
rock with it.
Like, you don't need to change it until it stops working for you.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You feel me?
Yes,
like
sir.
literally, that's what it comes down to.
But since we were talking about a little bit of taking care of yourself, making sure you're a priority, I think it's about time for
the 5-minute fitness tip.
You know what time it is? Can I get that soundtrack? Like, can I get just a deep bassy Sean?
Yeah. The 5-minute fitness tip. We back with it.
Oh, that's it now.
Yeah, but this week's 5-minute fitness tip is definitely something that I neglect and I should be doing a lot more of, and it is stretching. Definitely need a stretch because one, stretching leads to injury prevention, essentially. Like you're stretching for injury prevention.
And or performance.
Enhancement. Right, exactly, because there's multiple types of stretching. There's dynamic stretching, there's static stretching, and then there's another active stretching, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's one more type of stretching. But yeah, static stretching is obviously you're sitting there, you're just holding for a extended period of time, like 20 to 30 to a minute. And then there's dynamic stretching, which is like you doing different like modalities of stretching for like performance exercises.
To simplify it for everybody, so when you were in gym class, you probably had a coach, a PE teacher, and they're like, bend over, touch your toes, hold it for 12, 30 seconds. That's your static stretch. Now, if you're watching pro sports and like you have enough time to watch the warm-ups, whether baseball, football, basketball, and you see these people, they're like jumping up, doing high knees. They're maybe like doing almost like a hurdle movement, rotating their hips as if they were going and stepping over a hurdle. Yeah. Whether you just see them like jogging it out, called like striders, like really going through full range of motion when they're like doing those things. Yeah. That's more of a dynamic stretch. So static stretch is you're elongating the muscle fiber for an extended period of time, allowing like blood flow to enter that area, but also like taking it through a range of motion that it's not usually in. Whereas a dynamic stretch is you're taking this muscle from like shortened range of motion to an end range of motion, but you're not holding it there. You're more of priming that muscle group is what I would say.
To get ready to like go perform like a running back position or some shit like that. Like, can you explain to them like when you would be stretching?
Yeah.
Like
so
when the best time is to stretch? So
typically depending on if I'm talking to somebody who's working out or an athlete, I would like to do my dynamic stretching as a warm up before my exercise routine. So I'm getting it ready. Whereas a static stretch, which most people traditionally do still before workout, I would recommend doing that after the exercise to start that recovery process. So if you think of your muscle as like a rubber band, if like I was taking it and I was stretching it out.
Like stretched out.
Yeah, and I'm just holding it there. So now you kind of start to see the rubber band fibers. You're seeing it like, oh, this might snap soon. But now imagine that. And then now you're going to go put that muscle under like load and more stress. Or if I was playing a sport, like to your point, now I'm like, if I'm a running back, I have to change positions super quick. And I didn't maybe prime the muscle group. So that's where I would want to do the dynamic stretching. You know, I'm not maybe stretching it as far with that rubber band. It's just like subtle, like warming it up. Like, okay, this can go a little longer now.
Yeah, we can get into it.
So, and then that's where you're going to have less prone to injury. Whereas the static stretch, they've actually seen in some studies that it can increase your risk of injury.
Yeah. No, you definitely nailed it right on the head. I mean, you definitely don't want to. I personally don't static stretch before working out. I kind of like dedicate one day for like an active recovery for like actually stretching and like doing dynamic stretching. Again, I don't stretch as much as I should be. Like, I feel like I should stretch every day just because I am going to be like working out and being under that workload every day. Same for like someone like who is just getting into the gym. Like, you should stretch like almost every other day when you work out. Like, say if you worked out one day, you should stretch and like kind of release some of that lactic acid buildup and like get all of that good stuff out of there so you're ready to go and perform at like a high level on the next day. You feel me?
Yeah, 100%. I would say if you can and you have the time to do so, do it before your workout. It doesn't have to be, like I said, 12 to 15 minutes. Like it can be pretty quick depending on how efficient it is. It can be like 2 minutes. And then after the workout, you know, I would recommend doing it because it's going to start that recovery process that we were talking about last week. You're letting that blood flow in the area, letting that muscle start to do what it needs to do to rebuild. And then on your off days as well, I love that you said an active recovery day. Like if you're a big gym bro and you want to go to the gym 7 days a week, like sure, you can go 7 days a week, but not every day needs to be this crazy
PRs.
Yeah, PR day. Like
bro, you got to drop the ego, drop the weight.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest challenges, but it'll pay you so much in the long run.
Thanks.
And even for normal people, like go stretch. I know you're tight, whether it's sitting at a desk all day or, you know, just life's tough on you. Your bed's bad. Your neck feels off.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just
normal day activities. You still got to
stretch.
stretch. You're creating muscular imbalances by the stuff that you just do normally. Like you're driving on one hand every day like this in the car. Like that. Little do you know you're creating muscular imbalances because like you're getting into a habit where your arm is just constantly up here driving and pumped up in this other arm, and you're leaning to the side like your obliques are on the left side are a little light and contracted versus the other side are elongated. So go out there and stretching and make sure you got a nice proportionate body and get rid of some of those muscular imbalances. Well, I mean, that's not gonna.
Yeah, and nobody wants
That's not going to help it immediately, but yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, this is coming from two guys who have had injuries.
Facts.
You know, Sean tore his pec, bench pressing a ton of weight. I tore my ACL opening up while playing football. And it was like, was I stretching enough at that time? No. Was I maybe doing enough functional training at the time? Probably not either.
Nope.
And this is just things that we know from experience, like, and that have greatly helped us since then. And even now, it's not the funnest part of the workout
At all.
But it's one of those things. Discipline is going to get you better than motivation. I'm not going to be motivated to stretch every day. There's some days I'll feel tired. I'm like, I need to stretch. But I would probably not even get to that moment if I did the 2 to 3 minutes every day.
Thanks.
But
honestly, yeah. I mean, you just got to get out there and execute at the end of the day. Go out there and stretch.
That's the common theme today.
Feel me?
Go execute.
So, yeah, that's what we're going to wrap it up with that. That was a great fitness tip. You got anything to add?
Get out the rut, execute. And apparently Sean thinks Chris Paul's a bum.
He is a bum. So there you go. Hey, get out there and execute. And you know, hustle is the only controllable pillar of success. And what is success to you? You got to figure that out. And stay tuned to the next episode and like and subscribe and follow and give us a little shout out. Damn it.
You know what it is. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube.
I mean, at your mama's house. Like, nah, I'm
Oh,
playing.
hey, yo.
Nah, I'm playing.
Hey, yo.
Cut that out.